fellow viewers. Today we'll be attempting to repair this Windmere oscillating fan. This is model DF-7. I imagine this is a 7-inch fan. And the issue we have here is something that Windmere has made themselves famous for, the lack of properly working oscillation. Now if I push the knob over a little bit, it kind of works. So I'm wondering if this is something that can be redeemed. So cut this off and let's take a look inside the unit and see what we can do about that. There should be a screw and a bolt here that holds that together, but that is no longer with the fan. And the blade is stuck on. That's not good. That's not good at all. Well, I don't think it'll make a difference, but let's see if I can get that clamp off of here. That's not going to work. Let's see here. Well, I thought this was going to be easy. I should have known better. Very few things I do are actually easy. Okay, actually the clip just came off. You'll be able to see in the video, but there's the clip. That's freed. Let's try again. Okay. Oh, those bearings are really stiff. Wow. Alright, so we'll remove this. Dust all over my person now. I don't know how this comes off. Looks like it just pulls off. Perhaps give it a little bit of assistance here so it doesn't break. It's already kind of flaky as it is. I don't want to make it any worse. Okay, so here's our motor. It's just a regular old shaded pole motor. And somewhere in here is where the problem resides. So I suppose the most logical thing to do next would be to open this up and see if we can see anything obviously wrong with it. Would appear to be plenty of lubrication in there. Okay. So it looks like yeah, we can pull this off. Let's take that off so we can see inside here. It looks like the problem is that the gears are not close enough to the shaft. So when the shaft spins, it just slips, which would make sense to why when I push this over, it starts working. So, that's probably... Actually, you know what? I think I may see the problem. If you notice here, right there, that screw is not screwed in all the way, and on this side it is. So that very well could have something to do with why this is not, because screwing that screw would pull this that way more. So that may be all the problem. So let's see if we can get that screw tightened. Now obviously I got to take the whole thing apart and service it and clean the bearings out and whatnot. But if I can get this fixed and then do that, I will be much happier doing that, knowing that I'll have a working fan afterwards. Alright, so that's that. That's off. This must have got a fair bit of use. There's a lot of dust in there. So, and these are secured with Loctite on the other side, which I find kind of strange. And the interesting thing is going to be how in the world are we going to tighten this without tightening the... Because when you tighten this screw, the bolt tightens and then you can't tighten anymore. So I'm going to have to put a wrench on here. And that one's too thick. That one's too big. Daggone it, people. Where's the right size wrench? Well, I have a set of wrenches somewhere around here. Here we go. My grandfather gave me this set a while ago, and I've never used it. So it looks like this will be use number one. Hopefully these wrenches are small enough. Oop, too big. Oh, this is a little bit of a freak show here, but it's too big anyways. I used to have a set of real small wrenches, and then I cleaned up and I don't know where they went. Oh, here they are. Here we go, this is exactly what I need. Oh man, even that's too big. That may work. Nope, it's just spinning in there. Oh, here we go. This one is actually a great shape too. Perfect size. Look at that. Having the right tool makes this much easier, and this is the rare case where I actually have the right tool. So I'm going to screw this out all the way. I'm going to hold this in place here and I'm going to screw it back in with hopes that it's going to thread into the oscillation mechanism this time. So for whatever reason it doesn't seem like it wants to. Could very well be stripped or something. Yeah, it's not threading into there. So that's ultimately, I believe that's going to be the problem. If I back this out all the way, and then I push this in. Actually, there's maybe a bigger issue here. Alright, you know what, we just gotta remove this whole thing here and do some investigation, because it looks like there's something wrong with this. That doesn't look right. And although it's not as far spaced out on the other side, so something ain't quite right about that either. So let's go ahead and remove this whole thing here. We're going to remove this whole assembly and see if we can stuff it back on there the way it's supposed to be. Okay, we got a lock washer on there too. They really did not want these screws coming off of here. It's kind of ironic considering that's the part of the thing that failed. Okay. So now, these screws hold this on as well? Okay. So let's see what we have here and why this isn't working. So actually what I'm thinking is the problem inherently lies down here, because these two holes up here look like they're just a spot for the screws to go, and they don't appear to actually have any threading in there. So the issue is actually right here within this particular screw not being into there the way it should be. So we're going to have to figure out why that's like that. Now the first thing I want to do is see if I can just push it back in, because if that's the case, maybe this will be an easy repair. But something tells me it won't be. This would be way too easy. Well, interestingly enough, it pushed back in. Now, of course, we don't necessarily know that it's going to stay pushed in. It seems like it. Well, let's give that a shot. Let's put it back together and see what happens. I guess it was unnecessary to take the bearings apart, taking these off, because that's not what holds it in. In fact, just to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to go ahead and put this back on before I put the oscillation mechanism in place. As far as I can tell, they have nothing to do with each other. Now that this is off, I can use the bolt driver, which makes it a little easier. Why is this it's not wanting to go on here? bolt driver must not be the size I thought it was. Okay, now we can put this back on. Yeah, those screws don't actually hold it in place. I thought they did, but it's just something they fit into. Well, anyways, screw this back together. Alright, so you can see now that we have the same distance from the motor on both sides of the oscillation mechanism. So my hope now is that since it's more even, it's going to work. Because I believe that was the problem. Actually, I don't even have to put that on. We can just power it up and see what happens. The switch is a little flaky here. Actually, that's not an issue with the switch, that's something locking up. Well, there you have it. That was the problem. That little whatever that thing is, the little metal piece was coming out of that side, and so when it came out, it caused the whole mechanism to kind of shift this way a little bit, and when it shifted like this, the gear kind of moved that way, and that caused there to not be enough actually maybe a little bit too tight now, but ultimately that caused it to not be enough friction between these two gears to work properly. So that's been fixed now. It's going to oscillate correctly. So at this point we're going to go ahead and do a full service and repair on this. And there is more to be repaired. There's also an issue with the feet, so it kind of wobbles on the table, actually really badly. But anyways, so that's repaired. Very easy to fix. It was just a function of determining what the problem was.